to find an agent who's honing in on the things you really like about one property and you might not like about another, so they can really specify that dream home that you're looking for. And, eventually you can find that home, move into it, and live the lifestyle you want to live.
So if I can interject a little bit about that thing, just because a lot of clients I see start with a town that they think they want.
Yeah.
And they're not sure that, a lot of the buyers that we have think they want a town and they end up in another town. And what I love about the team, and we're so consumer centric in educating the buyer in all of because you're not only buying the house, you're buying the neighborhood, you're buying the town. So someone who might think they want Westport might actually end up in Greenfield Hill, or might think they want Fairfield might actually end up in Trumbull because they can get more house. So we have a buyer discovery survey. So whether working with us or not, really going in with what exactly are you looking for, so your agent can educate you not only on, because the house is absolutely important, of course, that's where you're going to end up, but it's your lifestyle. And it's where, and because we personally have a team of agents who are experts in different towns so that you can be educated. So you just want to make sure that you're not missing anything while you're in your search. And it might be schools, it might be whatever it is, you want a long conversation before you even go out to look so that you are educated on all the options that you have, because this is your life and you want to make sure you're being exposed to all your options.
Okay, that sounds great. Once you've kind of found your place, can you tell us a little bit about the steps in financing your home?
Yeah, absolutely. So the absolute first step is you need to establish a budget. You need to look at what your current expenses are. You need to look at what your income is. You need to look at what lifestyle, like Julie just said, what lifestyle you want to continue living once you are in this house. Have you been paying rent of $2,500 right now, and you've been able to put $1,000 into savings every month? All right, so you've done very well. We can, potentially you'll be comfortable with a $3,500 a month mortgage payment. Every part of your life plays a part in establishing that budget. People are so excited when they see a house on the market and it's a house that they love and they just have to have this house. And I kind of pull them back a little bit, like, hold on, let's run the budget. Let's see what fits into your life. Yes, you may love this house, but are you going to be able to make the payment? Are you still going to be able to, go out to dinner once a week like you like to do? You're going to be able to still go on that cruise once a year? Whatever it is, what becomes important? And usually our importances do change once we own a house because we're usually, growing up. So maybe not, as many fun cars and stuff like that. So we're going to run that budget. We're going to establish that budget. At the same time, in the background, on my end of it, I'm going to be running a pre-approval. The pre-approval is going to get from you all of your income and asset information. We're going to pull your credit. Having good credit scores is essential. An early pre-approval is really, really important, just in case something is on your credit report that you didn't know about, or maybe we need to pay some debts down to be able to afford the mortgage that you want to afford.
So Jen,
yeah,
let me interrupt you for
absolutely,
a minute.
yeah.
I have clients that come to me and say, do I need to get a pre-approval or a pre-qualification?
Yeah, that's a great question. So pre-approval, and that's what I always do. I'm a stickler for making sure all the details are in place before somebody goes out to buy a house. So pre-approval is going to pull your credit. We're going to review your credit. We're going to look at your income docs, whether it's your tax returns, your W-2s, your pay stubs, whatever it is, based on your income situation. We're going to look at your assets. We're going to look at everything that goes into getting a mortgage, closing on a mortgage. Where a pre-approval or a pre-application, pre-qualification tends not to look at anything. Basically, you go online to a big lender or you walk into a local bank and they say, well, what are your credit scores? And you guess because you really don't know. And they ask you what you make. And again, you're like, I don't know. And you give them a number and they say, all right, here's a letter. Good luck. Have fun shopping. They don't do the verifications on everything. The problem with that is if your credit scores aren't where you think they are, if you have debts that you totally forgot about, like all your student loans, or your income isn't what you think it is based on the lending rules. Now you have a pre-approval letter that you're out shopping for a house with that isn't they're not going to be able
So
to
it's
get that
in their
mortgage.
best interest
To do
before
the
they even
pre-
start. to
Do the
just
pre-approval,
start.
always,
And-
always.
Yes.
Yeah, and do
And
it
should they buy a
before.
car in the middle of? Oh my gosh.
Julie, you have no idea.
I know. It's like people don't realize this.
Yeah.
This is a really important part.
I could sit here all night and tell
Qualified,
you.
and then they
Yeah.
buy some big purchase.
Yeah,
and it affects-
absolutely. Don't do anything. And I have to say, you guys are awesome at this because you spend a lot of time out on the road with your clients and you are reminding them constantly, don't open any new credit, don't buy a new car. Even if it's 12 months interest free, you still have payments. There's still thought process involved when you
Look at
open
it.
something new. Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't do anything. Just kind of like put everything on pause at that moment because it all factors into that pre-approval, whether you think it does or doesn't. And it may not affect your numbers, but it still gives us an extra task to do as part of the mortgage process. So we're going to review all those documents. We're going to go over what programs are best for you based on your scenario, based on your down payment, based on, maybe we're going to look at an ARM instead of a fixed rate because you're only planning on staying here for 3 years. We're going to go over all of those.
What's an arm?
An ARM, yeah. So everybody wants it. Yeah, everybody wants a 30-year fix because everybody wants that security that their rate is never going to change. But say you're getting transferred out of here in 5 years, and it's an absolute. Your company's transferring you out. So we're going to look at an
Did you
ARM.
know that the average is 7 years?
It's 7 years, correct.
So most
Yeah.
people think they're going to be there for
Yeah, but they're not.
7 years.
Yeah, so an ARM is an adjustable rate mortgage where the rate is fixed for that initial X amount of years. So if it's a 5-year ARM, it's fixed for 5 years. Your rate doesn't change. So if you're moving in 5 years, you're better off doing an ARM because the rates are lower on that ARM. So you're saving money in the meantime. Say your job ends up staying there and you don't end up transferring, you can refinance out of it down the road. But if you're planning on being short-term, an ARM is definitely an option. And we're going to look at those options because it all depends on your scenario. Every loan program has different guidelines and different qualifications. So that's something your lender should be going over with you. A lot of people come to me and say, well, the person in the cubicle next to me just closed on an FHA. Why didn't we discuss FHA? Well, maybe you're putting 20% down and your credit scores are amazing. There's no reason to look at FHA. FHA is tailored more towards lower credit score people with lower down payments. Mm-hmm. But I still, when I have these conversations with buyers, I tell them that, like, FHA just wouldn't make sense for you because X, Y, Z. I think it's important to
And I think one of the things that happens too is that buyers don't get pre-approved before they start to look.
It's very true.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's very true.
When we ask, have you spoken to a mortgage broker?
Yeah.
It's not because, well, are you qualified? And I don't want to take my time to take you out.
Yeah.
It's for you to
Correct.
really understand your buying power, your purchasing
Absolutely.
power, because the purchasing power that you have is also about your lifestyle. So you don't necessarily want to spend as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
You want to spend when you talk to a mortgage broker and they go through your budget with you, you're going to be able to understand it in such detail that you'll know what you're comfortable with, so that when you find the perfect house, you're not in frantic mode of putting in an offer. You already have that knowledge. So it's all about you finding what your comfort level is first, and then we can help. And getting creative is really important. But if you know what your comfort is, then we'll be able to guide you into the right, or your agent should be able to guide you into the right house.
Exactly. And there are some wonderful programs in the state of Connecticut, for instance, for first-time home buyers that you may be totally unaware of.
Yeah. There's no down payment programs, low down payment programs, and that's all part of the process. And to Julie's point, you need to do this up front. Especially in this market, it's competitive. You want to be ready. You want to have all those ducks in a row. You have to strategize. So having that pre-approval and having that communication with your agent is key in order to be able to leverage that to get an offer accepted.
Sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
Another popular mortgage is an interest-only mortgage,
Yeah.
which interest is one of the components of your monthly
Yeah,
payment.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
it's just
Yeah. So your payment is made up of principal, which is the mortgage is the loan amount itself. We're charging you interest. We don't give away money for free, so we're charging you interest on that principal balance. So that's 2 parts of your mortgage payment. You're also rolling in your taxes. and your insurance. That all becomes your mortgage payment. If you're buying a condo, you also have a condo fee. And to Julie's point, talking about different towns, you often start looking in one town and then you end up in another. Taxes are a big part of it. And town to town in this state, in most states, you'll see a big difference in taxes. So you may all of a sudden run those numbers and you want X town and you're like, wow, you know what, but I can go to this other town over here and get $100,000 more in buying power because their taxes are lower. All part of the conversations that you should be having before going out and looking at houses. But yeah, so in interest only, you're paying only the interest. So you're not chipping away on that principal balance every month. You're going to be flat on that. So every month you're just paying interest. You do have to have great credit scores, and you do have to put 20% down for most interest-only programs because they are a little bit riskier. You're not putting in that. You're not that discipline mode where you have to make X amount of payment every month to pay down that balance. So at the end of 10 years, you haven't paid your balance down any, and you're not getting anywhere. But we do, yeah, it's a program that we offer, absolutely.
One last question for you, and then we're going to move on.
Yeah.
But, at what point can somebody come and start talking to you? Suppose they're not going to be ready for maybe a couple of years. They don't really know because they don't understand their buying power.
Yeah.
Can you help to guide
Absolutely.
first-time buyers?
And I love this. It's really my favorite buyer. A buyer who, well, there's kind of two categories here. The buyer that didn't think they could buy for a couple more years, that is absolutely shocked that they're in a good enough position to buy now. It's so exciting. Like, are you kidding me? I didn't think I made enough, or whatever it is. And it's just fun to see that kind of blossom. And then there's the other buyer who truly isn't ready yet, but I go over the steps to help them to get ready. Get the car loan paid off, pay down the student loans, whatever it is that they need to do, improve their credit scores, and then come back to me. I usually say, in 6 months, come back to me. Let's run those credit scores. Let's run the numbers again. There's no time that's too soon. So
Okay.
let's
And
talk.
the good part about that is you will follow up with them maybe
Absolutely.
weekly or bi-weekly.
Whatever they want me to do, I'm there for that. And people have my cell phone number. They know to text me. It's fun. It's fun watching these people.
And the
turn
process
into
of
buyers.
getting pre-approved isn't that hard,
It's
right?
really not that hard. No, I mean,
People think it's daunting, but
It's
once you
not.
talk to Jen,
As long as you
Yeah.
have the right documentation,
Yep.
just submit it.
Yep, you
and
submit it. It's all electronic, or we can always meet. I know some people still like to meet, but in today's age, everybody's crazy busy and they don't have time. So you can do it at midnight in your pajamas. You upload PDF documents to me, and in the morning I start working on it. I start working about 5:30 in the morning. So by the time you're having your coffee, it might be ready for you already.
All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, Christina, can you talk a little bit about sort of how, once you have this information, what you can buy, what's that new buyer going to be thinking about in terms of how they go out and find their dream home?
So this is where our expertise comes in. We identify what's most important to you. And we do have a buyer survey, which we created quite purposefully to ask you questions, to kind of bring things that you may not have ever thought about, to kind of identify what's most important to you. It's not just about how many beds, how many baths you need, what kind of town, but it's identifying your lifestyle, the way you live. Do you want to be close to town? Do you want to be able to walk everywhere? Do you want to be at the beach because that's where you hang out most of the time? Do you not like people and want to go out in the country and have 3 acres of land around you? So the more we know about you, the more we can become matchmakers, because that's what we thrive on. This is our expertise, and Julie is expert at doing that. One of the reasons she created her team is
yeah, honestly, that's why the team was created, because there's only so much one human being can do, and I can't educate people in every town, so I found experts in every town so that they could really educate the consumers on the town, but also introduce them to the other towns. So the cross-marketing part of it is really important, because I see a lot of people get stuck in a town because that's where they started and that's where their agent sent them a town, and I'll have a buyer looking and they bought in a town that really doesn't work for them. And had they taken the time to just really understand the nuances of neighborhoods and towns and lifestyle, they would have saved tens of thousands of dollars to really make the right choice.
And Julie, tell us about your philosophy about matchmaking.
Well,
and really finding that property for your client.
yeah,
Because
I
I
mean,
know
that-
you're very passionate about that.
I mean, I really am, and thank you for the question. But I mean, it's once we know what you want, the more we know about what a buyer wants, we're going to go out and find it. So there's MLS, which is all the properties that are on the market, but more importantly, it's the properties that are not on the market, particularly in an inventory, a low inventory, and a lot of these sellers don't want to sell. They're not ready, or they don't want to put their house on the market. They don't want to give up their mortgage rate. But when we bring them a buyer who's able and ready to move forward, they're motivated. And that's how we've done more matchmaking than I can. It's a big part of what we do. And if your realtor doesn't have that type of program, and all you're doing is looking on MLS, then the transparency of the market is showing you that anyway. So what is your realtor really doing for you? And there's a lot, negotiating, there's a lot we're going to go through, but matchmaking is a big part of it, and finding properties not on the market through our network. And that's why having 40 agents that are sharing information, well, my buyer, because if someone comes into a home and they're going to sell, I mean, if someone comes to an open house, chances are they have a house to sell. And now we have access to that house for you as a buyer to bring you to opportunities that you wouldn't have otherwise had. So matchmaking is a big, huge part of what we do.
Yeah, and for first-time home buyers, I feel like particularly the diamond in the rough is really a great way to kind of get into home buying or home
100% agree.
ownership. Yes.
I couldn't agree more with that statement,
Yeah.
because in the old days when I bought my first house, it was, I was doing my dishes in my bathtub while I was taking a shower because we were renovating the kitchen at the time. And that doesn't happen really anymore. People want to move right in, and even if the wallpaper's on, people are discouraged. If you're a first-time home buyer and you can see past that, just remember you're not going to be doing that work, and often we can have that work done before you even move in.
Mhm.
So you can have the dream home without having to do the work, but you get the discounted rate because you're buying a fixer-upper. Because sweat equity is extremely expensive.
And we can connect them with all those vendors because we have those relationships.
Absolutely. We can have it through our vendors, and we actually, my Sleepy Hollow videos, I created a 15-series Sleepy Hollow video of buying a fixer-upper, fixing it up, and showing buyers what you can do to save money, because you're building equity, and then when you sell it, your profit margin is going to be that much higher. So I am a big believer in fixer-uppers.
And Julie and
Exactly.
team, we also have mortgages for that.
Yes.
We have renovation
exactly.
mortgages.
Yes.
People don't know this. People think, oh my gosh, I don't have the money to do the renovations. And we have FHA and conventional renovation programs for this. And it's, again, another really fun thing to see.
And that's almost a whole video
That's
in
a
itself,
whole
because that
conversation.
is huge. Because if you're thinking about buying a fixer-upper,
Yeah.
we'll
We
do
gotta
another
cover that.
series on that one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now that you've found your perfect home, can you tell us a little bit about how you negotiate the price, the terms, the contingencies? Because you're really good at negotiating.
Yeah. Well, negotiation, comes with skill. So real estate, just talking to your agent and making sure they have experiential knowledge on negotiating, because you have to get creative in this market, and winning bids when there's a multiple offer, or coming up with creative ways when you have an inspection item. It's just like anything in the world. If you've done it for 27 years and you just understand it more than you would with a new agent. And in our industry, there's a lot of new agents out there. So there's it's not a negative thing to use a new agent, but they have to have the support team behind them, and the knowledge behind them, and the experiential knowledge behind them that's being shared, so that they can navigate through with the help of others. Because it's not just highest and best. Like, we don't even,
It's not just about price.
It
Yeah.
isn't. And selling you as a buyer, and understanding and meeting the seller sometimes. It really depends. I could talk for 3 hours on negotiating, and I know nobody wants to hear me do that right now, but I think one thing that's missed in the industry is the skill of negotiating. It's like, I'll market and I'll find you, but truly being able to negotiate from beginning to end and get you into the house with your terms, your price, it takes some skill and some experience. So
Especially in this market. I mean, this market's very competitive, and having that experience is tremendous.
yeah.
Because if you can't get that offer accepted, nothing else matters.
And I will say in this industry too, to your point, having a reputation of someone that can bring a deal to fruition is really important.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I mean, we've sold more homes. I'm really proud
For the
to
agent
say.
and the
It's,
lender,
it's
Yeah.
very true.
Yes.
Because the other side feels confidence in that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so they know we're going to get it done and that
Yep.
we're going to back it up and we're not going to send an offer without everything. I mean, the amount of times I get an offer on one of my properties
Yeah.
with half of it missing.
Piecemeal.
And that poor buyer is
They
not
don't
even
know.
considered now.
Yeah. And
Just
they
because
don't
their
know why.
agent isn't
Correct.
able to
Agreed.
perform.
Yeah.
So picking, and I do liken it to doctors or lawyers, like you wouldn't pick a doctor or a lawyer to represent you if you didn't do your homework.
Mhm.
So
Right.
just making sure that they have the support behind them to make sure you're in the right hands.
Agreed.
And
Exactly.
the relationships you have with other agents.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's very
huge.
important
Yes.
as well.
absolutely.
So what happens once you have the offer, you put in the offer, got accepted, you do inspections. That's a whole other layer of negotiation after that.
We call
you know.
Floria. Flo is our inspection expert. But yeah, there's a whole, I mean,
Yeah. And
I'm kidding kind of, but because Floria really helps guide and is so knowledgeable about inspections that we need an expert in every division. You can't, the reason I started a team, you can't be great at everything and you have to align yourself with people better than you are in certain areas.
Exactly.
And so with the support we have, we all are educated on how to navigate through an inspection. And I will say it's all in presentation. Like that's one thing that I know, no matter who you are, if you're defensive and there's a way to do it. And a lot of people do it wrong. And communication, I think, is lost a little bit in our world today, where making the other person feel heard, whether it's the other agent or the seller, and understanding where they're coming from, so that when they're giving back the things we're asking for, we're not pushing. We're having a conversation, and it's a huge difference between I want this versus the way it's presented, so that they are almost offering. And sometimes we get more than we even expected because of the way we present. Because we're presenting a certain amount of things and they're like, oh, well, yeah, no, I understand and we'll give you this. And we're like, wow, we weren't even expecting to get as much as we got because of the way it's presented. And that's a skill, again, that's learned with each other, with roundtable and brainstorming on the best ways to negotiate that.
Great. So that's not only negotiating the actual purchase price, but then after inspections, that piece also is equally important to negotiate any inspection items. So
Absolutely.
once that's all negotiated,
And
now
remember, when just to Jen, because people put in the binder or in the contract that they want an inspection item back. So just be careful of that.
Yeah.
And we don't have
Again,
to
you
get
guys
too
are going
deep
to guide
into
them
that.
through that.
Yeah, we won't
Yeah,
get too deep into that.
you don't
But
need to
you-
know
about the lawnmower.
Right. Yes.
No, but you could lose a house.
You could.
lose a mortgage
You could.
because of
Of a little
because something's
detail.
in a contract that shouldn't have been in there
Right.
and was easily avoided.
And that speaks to experience again, having an experienced agent. You know, and
Absolutely.
I'm going to review the contract. You know, you guys are going to get somebody under contract. You're going to get me that contract, and I'm going to review it and make sure nothing is going to conflict with lending guidelines. Obviously, it's a contract; I can't change it. But we could take the lawnmower out. It's not a big deal. Some stuff like that. So that contract is going to come to me. We already have you pre-approved. We already have all your documentation. So we're just now taking it to the finish line. We might need a new bank statement or a new pay stub from you at that point, depending on how much time has gone by. But now we're putting that in for the official mortgage approval. We're going to order an appraisal. An appraisal is sort of like an inspection, but an appraisal is the value of the house. Is the house worth what you're paying for it? They're going to look at comparable houses on the market that have sold recently and make sure the value's there. They don't want you to overpay for it. We don't want you to overpay for it, and we want us and you to be protected. So we're going to have that appraisal done. That's not something you attend. You go to the home inspection. That part you do. The appraisal you don't. Your agent will meet you there. Another one of those things that we kind of do in the background so we don't stress you. Those first couple weeks when you go under contract, there's a lot going on, so we try to take whatever we can off the plate. We're also at this point is when we're going to talk to your attorney. We're going to order title. We're going to make sure your title's clear. Make sure nobody has any interest in that property other than the people you think you're buying it from, so that we can have a nice, smooth closing. So, again, you guys will speak to the whole team attitude, making sure you're using an attorney who does real estate. We all work with attorneys day in and day out that are amazing at what they do. We have those recommendations for you. We do this all day, every day. So hopefully you'll take those recommendations, but you want to work with a real estate attorney because this is really important. This is the ownership of your property. You don't want to use a litigation attorney because, to Julie's point, there's a right and a wrong way to approach stuff. And, you approach it with sweetness and you're more likely to keep everything together. You don't want an attorney in there who's going in, trying to win. It's not a win situation. It's a let's all work together. So those are all things we're doing in the background, is get your mortgage approved. It goes to the underwriter who's the official decision-making person. The underwriter might say, yep, here's your approval. Just get me their insurance because you have to have insurance on your house before you close.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll be set to go to closing. So those are all things we're doing in the background, but we're always available to talk to you about any part of it. I'm the money person, they're the house person, but often we answer each other's questions because we've been doing this long enough that we can kind of jump into each other's lanes every now and then to answer some simple questions. But we're a team, we all work together.
Yeah, and while you're working on the underwriting, we're staying in touch with you. We're staying in touch with the attorney. We're staying in touch with the insurance broker. We're making sure all the pieces of the puzzle are coming together as they should. And
if I can just jump in with that,
Yeah.
is being in the right hands, as we said, is so important. And we've been doing this, I've personally been doing this for 27 years. So I think combined is 100 plus years of experience, but it's the network of, you want to work with people that we've been working with. And remember, I don't even like to say it this way, but we bring leads. We're a lead gen for a lot of these people, so they want our clients to be happy. If our clients aren't happy, we're not going to send them clients anymore. So our clients float to the top of their files, white glove treatment, because we've been working with them for so long. So whether it's an attorney, and I don't know how many people have said, oh, well, my brother's cousin's sister is an attorney. and you end up with, you want it to be seamless, and you want to be with the best of the best. And we are extraordinarily just selective of who we will put our clients in the hands of. And it's not like some companies have, well, this is our mortgage broker and this is our attorney, and that's not. We give you options, but we've vetted those options. So we talk to you and say, I think the best fit is this person, and this attorney is best for you, and this attorney is more of a hard whatever. So we're going to make sure, can't say it. But depending
you're
on,
matched with the right
Yes,
person.
exactly. But that's the thing that differentiates, I think, because we're listening and hearing and then putting you in the right hands instead of, I got a guy. Everybody's got a guy. And you don't just want a guy. You want the right person to navigate you through one of the most important decisions of your life, and especially as a first-time home buyer.
Mm-hmm.
To really, the attorney has to really explain because you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
And they're going to, so we choose attorneys that can really walk you through without costing you a lot of money to spend this time with you, to really educate you. It's just such an important part. The network, in my opinion, is just as important, or just as important.
It is.
It is,
Every piece
exactly.
is important. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so once all those pieces have come together and you're getting close to closing day, what's your role at that point?
Yeah, so closing day, the couple days before closing, it gets a little hectic again. I always say those first couple weeks are hectic. Then it kind of gets a little quiet in between there, and there's nothing wrong. Just actually quiet's a good thing. And then a couple days before closing, it gets a little hectic again. So right before closing, we're working with your attorney and we're finalizing the numbers. we're going back and forth with the attorney. They're going back and forth with the seller's attorney for certain adjustments on taxes, water, sewer, stuff like that. All those numbers come together. Unfortunately, it's usually not until the day before closing. I don't know why. That's just how it is. So don't be nervous. That's how it is. Your attorney's going to get you that final number. Your attorney's going to find everybody who has a piece of the puzzle and who needs money, and they give you one number. And they're going to tell you, either do a wire or bring a bank check. They're going to do this over the phone to you. Never take wiring instructions via email. And they're just going to give you one number. You're going to bring that money to closing. And they're going to disperse funds to whoever has some bills. So you're bringing your check, whatever's left over, after the mortgage funds get put into that pot. So your attorney, we wire funds to your attorney on the morning of the closing, and then your attorney takes care of paying everybody who needs to get paid. The closing is the day you take ownership to your house. I mean, that's the exciting day.
So
You
Tanya,
guys
can
might
you
be
tell a
too.
little bit about what closing day looks like from our perspective with the buyer?
Yes, absolutely. So we keep close contact with the lender, and when we get that clear to close, it's like the golden email. We know it's time to go ahead and reserve that final walkthrough. And so we meet you at the walkthrough, we go through the home, we make sure everything is in order just as the first visit. And if it is, we go ahead and let the lender know and the attorney know that you are good to go. If it's not okay, we do work on negotiations again. And we do our very best to make that happen quickly, seamless, and we don't want to delay your closing. So usually everyone's willing to negotiate at that point.
Yeah, and we want to protect you, which
Yes.
is what you're saying.
And then once those funds clear with Jen, we give you your fancy keys.
Nice.
That does take a trip to the attorney's office,
Yes.
right? Final documents get signed, and then the wire is sent to the seller's attorney. How often does it take those funds to clear once they leave
It's
the
usually
attorney?
pretty quick.
Yeah?
It's usually within
Try
a
not to
couple
close
minutes.
on a Friday, though.
Yeah, Fridays are hectic. Fridays
Yeah.
and the end of the month are hectic. Close in the middle of the week, middle of the
Wednesday,
month.
Thursday closings are.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
There's, much better. Yeah, but that's the exciting time is when you get your keys. That's
And
when
we're
you love it.
also always willing to go to closings with our clients too if they need us.
Yeah.
Especially like first time buyers, they usually
Yeah,
ask for that.
And
absolutely.
then after that, what happens?
Then we continue our relationship and get some coffee.
And in that too, look, remember there's a mover
Mm-hmm.
that you have to get and moving companies are hard to find, and you want to be aligned with people again with a network, because that can be very daunting because there's a lot involved with moving. It's scary, and we have a lot of different strategies to make it easier. So make sure that you're aligned with someone that has the strategies of starting the process. Soon as you find the house, start thinking about your move and what
we
you're
have
going to
3
do.
checklists, right?
Yeah,
For closing.
we're an overabundant.
2 weeks before, 1 week before.
Exactly.
And I feel like our team really takes our clients through that process, but the relationship doesn't end there. It's after, the home buying process has ended. We're always there for our clients, whatever they may need. I just had somebody call me up and ask for a painter. We're always there to help you with whatever it is. And
Yeah, we've actually created a company called AIR, All Inclusive Real Estate Network, because after a quarter of a century of building these relationships, I know who won't show up, and I know who will show up. And when it comes to home services, it's really hard because how do you find them?
Exactly.
And these are people, like I said before, they're in our network that are going to show up.
Mhm.
And then there's everything from A to Z, from the high level insurance, movers, all the way down to a dog walker. And you don't even go to a restaurant on a Google review these days. You ask a friend. And these are relationships that we've created for years that trust us, that know that they want to keep our clients happy. They want to keep us happy. So the network, again, is really important for a buyer because, again, you don't know what you don't know. And you move in and, oh my God, this isn't working. And how do I fix it? You call us. And
Exactly.
we network you to the right person. And that's forever. Like, this is a
Exactly.
forever relationship.
Exactly.
Whether you
So-
like it or not.
You've stuck with us.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, for all the input. And now we'd like to go to the chat and see if there are any questions from you that we haven't addressed, or if you want a little more information from us, we'd love to hear from you. Do we have any questions in the chat?
We have some people saying hello.
Hello.
Who's saying hi?
I think Maddie.
Oh, is that my nanny?
Yeah,
I love you.
I think it's important, we kind of skipped over the insurance part of it, and it is part of AIR, but it's a really critical part of buying a house. Whether you're buying a mansion or you're buying a small little condo, you want to have the right insurance on that property. People tend to, again, just, go online and look at these online insurance companies. And I'm not sure if they always have your best interest in mind. So be really careful with that. We have a couple great referral sources that are so local, it's not even funny how local they are, who know the area and who are going to have a conversation with you about insurance and what's important to you and what you need and why the numbers are what they are. But that's a huge part.
You can't even get a mortgage. I mean,
You cannot close on a mortgage without insurance.
Exactly.
You cannot.
Mortgage, yeah.
And here's a question. Okay, so my credit isn't great. Where do I start?
Yeah, so that kind of goes to the conversation we were having before. I call it early intervention. Let's start early, and unfortunately not everybody realizes that they have bad credit, and it's a surprise to them because, this is very frustrating to me that they don't teach credit in school. So
Right.
people have no idea how detrimental it is to be, 30 days late on your credit card payment. That will bring your credit scores down so fast. So we're going to pull your credit, and we're going to look at it and we're going to see what can you do? What are the simple steps? What are the short-term steps? What are the long-term steps that we can do to help those credit scores come up? And sometimes it is short-term. You have 2 credit cards and they're both maxed out. Well, get those paid down and you're going to see this amazing result in 30 days. I almost guarantee you this. If everything else is clean on your credit and it's solely due to high balances on credit cards, you're going to see a huge turnaround. If you have a whole bunch of collection accounts and judgments and you didn't pay your cell phone bill for a couple of years, it's going to be a longer amount of time than a couple months. You're probably looking at 6 months.
Another
to a year.
question popped up.
Yeah.
My mom is going to give me a gift.
Yep, gifts are good.
So
Gifts are good.
Are they good at every step of the
Good.
process?
Actually, you know what? In the past couple of years, the lending guidelines have really opened up as far as gifts go. You can get a gift. It always used to be just a family member. Now they've expanded it to close family, friends.
Wow.
You can get them from cousins, aunts, uncles, but typically it's from parents or siblings. But gifts are welcome.
Can they be
It
cash?
can be no. We have
No
to
cash.
everything in
Has to
the
be traced.
everything in the mortgage world as far as assets has to be traceable. Cash
Okay.
never works. Large deposits, we have to source them. So I always, I have a standard email that goes to my clients and it says, if you're considering getting gifts from anyone, please talk to me so we can discuss this. Because there's a right way and a wrong way. There's an easy way and a not easy way. And there's a no, it's not going to work way. So it's a conversation we need to have if you are going to get gift funds. But gift funds are absolutely allowed on all programs when you're
One more.
buying. Yeah.
What's the lowest % you can put down?
0.
Woo!
Doesn't get any better than that. Nothing out of pocket. You know what? And I say nothing out of pocket, but you really should have probably $2,000 sitting around. You have to pay your home inspection. You have to pay for your appraisal. But the mortgage, some of the mortgage programs, and it's a first-time home buyer program. There's income limits. There's purchase price limits. It's not free to everybody out there, but there are some great programs in the state right now
And that's why it's so important
to talk to your lender.
first meet
To have the
to talk to
conversation.
your agent and your
Yeah.
mortgage broker as a team
Yeah.
to make sure you're looking at the right houses that qualify too.
For the
because there are
programs.
certain
Purchase
condos,
price.
certain
Mhm.
condos
Absolutely.
don't qualify.
There's so much going on that we know about.
I have a question
Yes, ma'am.
that I get all the time.
Yes.
What qualifies you as a first time?
Yeah, that's a great.
Is it just people who have never bought a house
Yeah,
before?
no, it's this amazing thing that if you haven't owned for 3 years, you re-up as a first-time home buyer.
Wow.
Don't you wish that happened in other things in life too?
And that's
Yeah, so after 3 years, if you owned a house 4 years ago and you sold it 4 years ago, you're a first-time home buyer again. We base it on your tax returns. We do a 3-year look back on your tax returns, make sure there's no interest or
So if
tax
I get
write-offs.
remarried, is it my first marriage? Now that I've been married?
I don't think it works.
I wasn't going to take that anywhere. I just threw it out there. After 3 years, maybe. You can do whatever you want, as long as it makes you happy.
This one my mom's
Yeah.
already is.
Is it really?
We should probably- Yeah, so after 3 years.
Another question for you,
Younger model.
Yep.
was how long do you recommend saving for a home?
Yeah, you know what? I wish I had an answer for that. It again depends on that whole big scenario. You know, if you have good credit scores and you have stable income and you have put 3% down, let's do it. Let's jump out there and let's see if there's something that fits into your budget.
To have a conversation.
It doesn't hurt
Right,
to
it
have a
doesn't cost
conversation.
anything.
Yeah, the 3% down obviously is going to make the payment a little bit higher. So maybe, the initial conversation, you have a budget. So maybe that payment's higher than what you want your budget. So now you have to save for another year to put a little bit more down. So
So the question
I'll
was,
part of that
when should you
conversation.
start saving?
the day you're
Like,
born.
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I start saving because
Yeah.
it's the more you can put down. And I'm a stickler about, I believe in tangible assets to hold. I mean, no one knows really what's happening with the market right now. A tangible asset is so important in this market. So no matter who you are, where you are, with your kids, like my kids have a fund for their future real estate investments that they've already started, that they're saving for, and they own. My kids already own.
Yeah.
So it's an important process to answer that question yesterday.
Yesterday.
Let's start.
Yeah, even if it's $25 a month.
It's a small amount.
exactly.
It doesn't matter. And
Yep.
it's amazing how quickly it grows.
Yeah,
And you
you have it go over to this account out of your paycheck every week. Just put it over there, $25, whatever it is. Just tuck it away, and it will build up so quickly. Skip that
And
Starbucks.
Valerie just bought. This is your second house that
This
you
is
bought.
my second. Yeah.
Nice.
Number 2.
You just bought a house.
It'll be in this September. Yeah.
Gotcha. So
it's my second one. And it's really
Okay.
not nowhere near as hard or as difficult or as daunting as I thought. You just you have to have the right team behind you. And then it's smooth sailing from there.
Yeah, even as a real estate agent, it does get nerve-wracking.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm in the business,
Yeah.
and when I buy something, it's like, oh my God, wait,
Yeah.
it's so different being on this side of the table, which makes us appreciate what we do that much more.
Yeah.
It's good to be on the other side of the table now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and you
Exactly.
also want to work with people that love what they do. And one of the reasons we choose Jen is she clearly is committed and dedicated and loves what she does. And it's not just for the money, it's for the people.
No.
And it's rare in this industry to have people that are doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And that's what we're so proud of, that we're aligned ourselves with people that are consumer centric. That's the main reason we chose the Higgins Group. Because Rick Higgins is a humanistic approach to real estate, unlike a lot of brokers out there, which is a profit center. And this is about the people versus the money. And
Exactly.
finding the people, it's not easy. We worked
It's not,
really freaking
Yeah.
hard
It's very
to
true.
find these people.
Yeah, you do right by people, and it all comes around.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
The
You help people.
go-giver.
So we go
I will
through the
say,
trial
by the
errors
way-
that they don't have to.
Exactly. We're here.
It's very true.
We're doing the homework for you.
Exactly. So I think our contact information was up on the screen. I think we're about out of time.
And we have the PowerPoint presentation that we can send to everybody, and as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So please reach out to
Yeah,
us.
any questions?
But even better, we love getting phone calls.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We love
Please
talking
reach
to
out.
people.
Yeah.
Exactly. These are all of our cell phones. So
Yeah.
just reach out to us. We'd love to chat with you and help you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Thank you for tuning in.
Have a great
here.
night.
Have a good night.
We
Thanks
love you.
again.
Yeah.
Almost. There we go.
That was such a tiny type. I couldn't even see it.